Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started, but I do want to wait just a couple minutes to see if everything is working right. Excuse me, I've been cleaning all day, so I'm in a tank top, I'm sorry. I try to be a bit more dressed, if that makes sense. Hello, Patience. Hello, Miss Sherry. I hope you guys are super ready, though, because I have 28 pages of notes for you guys on this topic alone. So, I hope you guys are super, super excited. Alright, loves, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Hi, Miss Atina, how are you, love? So, to start us off, as always, there is a question. So what do you guys know about the poison path? Do you only know the poisonous herbs, some of the poisonous herbs? Do you know how to work with them, how to connect with them, things like that? So what do you guys know about the poisonous path? Oh boy is right. Alright, so while you guys are typing, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the poison path, or more like the baneful botanicals in witchcraft. So the poison path is an historic and mystical branch of witchcraft and herbalism that focuses on the spiritual, medicinal, and visionary properties of toxic, psychoactive, and baneful plants. So the these plants are often associated with witchcraft, shadow work, and occultism. Because they hold such powerful energies that can alter consciousness, aid in spirit work, and facilitate deep transformation. So, as always, I personally like to know the history of things. I'm a huge history nerd. I'm a huge history fanatic. So, when it comes to the poisonous path, I have always run with history first. That's me with any topic, really. I love to run with history. So, the origins and history of the poison path. Let me just jump back real quick. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it, Patience. A lot of people, they are only aware of the poisonous herbs and not really how to work with them. And so that's why I wanted to do this topic, because before I had my children, I worked with poisonous herbs. I, connected with them. I meditated with them. At one point in time, I did a flying ointment, which we'll get into later. But as soon as I had my babies, I put everything up. And even gave 90% of it away because I wanted my babies to be safe. But when it comes to this type of practice, for me, it was such an interesting and beautiful practice. And when my babies get older, I'll come back to it. But until then, I'll just be teaching it. So, sorry, enough side story. So, the origins and history of the poison path. So, the poison path is a very ancient and mystical tradition rooted in the use of baneful, psychoactive, and toxic plants for magical, medicinal, and spiritual purposes. Real quick, ladies, if the music is too loud, please let me know. On one of my other replays, they said that the background music was a bit loud. So if it's a bit loud and you can't quite hear me, please let me know. Okay, but back to what I was saying. This path has been woven through shamanic practices, folk magic, alchemy, and the occult, making it one of the most historic branches of witchcraft. to understand the poison path, for me, it was very important that you examine it through origins of historical periods and cultural traditions and things like that, you know, that utilize these baneful plants for their transformation, mystical, and medicinal purposes. So we're gonna go ahead and start with prehistoric and shamanic beginnings. So the earliest use of poisonous and entheogenic plants likely stems from the prehistoric shamans and tribal healers who experimented with plant medicines for healing, divination, and spirit communication. Shamanic practices, prehistoric or known as the ancient world, mainly started with indigenous healers across Africa, Asia, the Americas, and Europe that used the mind-altering plants in rituals. The main herbs that they used were Datra, Brugmansia, and henbane, which they mainly used in vision quests and to commune with their loved ones or spirits. And then, of course, cave paintings were also very big when it came to these. From prehistoric sites, it suggests that ritualistic plants were used to enhance a trance-like state. Shamans developed an intimate spiritual relationship with these plants, believing that they held divine wisdom and power to traverse life, death, and rebirth, which is a theme that persists in the poison path today. Hi, Kirill. So glad you made it, love. Hi, Christy. You're good, love. So, jumping into some more of the ancient world with witchcraft, oracles, and mysticism, the poison path thrived in a lot of ancient civilizations where poisonous plants were sacred to the gods, oracles, and even healers. So, in ancient Egypt, this would be around 3000 BCE and 300 BCE. Priests and healers used henbane, mandrake, and opium poppy in rituals, embalming, and medicine when they mummified their dead. The Egyptian Book of the Dead also references plant-based incenses and potions for guiding the dead. And then they have Heka magic, which was often involved with nightshade plants to commune with their spirits. Then we have ancient Greece and Rome from 1200 BCE and 500 CE. The Oracle of Delphi actually may have inhaled toxic fumes, possibly from henbane or Datra, oh my gosh, I can't speak. Prophetic visions, and the Lucerian Mysteries, which was a secret cult dedicated to Demeter and Persephone, used a psychoactive brew called kykeon, which was potentially containing an ergot fungus and opium. Sorry about that. Into death and rebirth mysteries as well. I'm gonna move you guys for a second, sorry. Then we have the Greek physicians. Sorry about that. I swallowed wrong and it wouldn't go away. Then we have the Greek physicians like Hippocrates and Dioscorides. Hippocrates is, or Hippocrates, or however you pronounce it. Oh my goodness. Is Hippocrates. And the Dioscorides, or however you would pronounce it, is Dioscorides. I think we're okay now. Sorry about that. Was recorded the medicinal and mystical effects of mandrake, belladonna, and hemlock. Then we have Rome and poison magic. That was 500 BCE to 500 CE. That is where Medea and Circe come into play. They were known as mythical witches that were linked to poisonous potions and transmutation magic, which is very, as if you remember my alchemy live, it's very heavily set in transmutation. So Medea and Circe were actually kind of linked to alchemy at that time as well. Then you have Locusta. I hope I'm saying that right. Locusta, and she is, she was a famous Roman prisoner that was employed by Emperor Nero to assassinate rivals using custom plant-based poisons as well. The Roman era blended practical poison use for assassinations and medicine with spiritual poison magics such as the oracles or necromancy, setting the stage for later witchcraft traditions. Then, of course, you have the medieval and Renaissance witchcraft traditions. So during the Middle Ages, about 500 to 1500 CE, and the Renaissance, which is 15 to 1700 CE, the poison path became deeply entwined with witchcraft, alchemy, and folk magic. The medieval witches and baneful herbs were from 500 to 1500 CE, and this is when the church associated witches with toxic plants, claiming they used them for flying, shape-shifting, and demonic rituals. Flying ointments were also very big during this time, because they were potions made from belladonna, henbane, aconite, and dandra, which were said to induce trance states, astral travel, and communion with spirits. The folk healers and midwives also used mandrakes and wolfsbane in protective and fertility rituals and rites as well. Then we have the witch trials, which were 1400s to the 1700s, which many were accused of witches, as we all know, when they were herbalists and healers who worked with poisonous plants, leading up to their persecution under hearsay laws. Then you have the alchemy and occult poison magic, which was 1400 to 1700 CE, which is still kind of during medieval times, but now we're starting to step into the Renaissance times. So during the Renaissance and early modern period, alchemists, philosophers, and sorcerers began documenting and learning the historic powers of these poisonous plants. So Paracelsus, I believe is the name, from 1493 to 1541, believed poison and medicine were the same thing. Depending on the dosage, a core philosophy in the poison path work, which it's I wouldn't say it's self-explanatory, but it's really important that you measure with these herbs because they can and will hurt you or worse. Then you have Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, which was from 1586 to 1535, who actually wrote about the magical plant correspondences, including the toxic one, in the 3 books of occult philosophy, if you would like to read more into it. Then we have the grimoires, like the book of Abramelin, I hope I'm saying that right. And that was published in 1608, and that included spells using baneful herbs for spirit summoning. These thinkers laid the groundwork for modern occult herbalism and treating the poisonous plants as sacred tools for transformation and transmutation. Yes, exactly, Patience. So they did, in a way, it was like the Hippocratic Oath for physicians. Does anyone have any questions so far, or would you guys just like me to keep going? I know history is like kind of self-explanatory, but I just want to make sure, because like I said, sometimes I have to have stuff broken down for me, so but if you have any questions, please ask. I am an open book and I love to answer questions. Then moving on, we have the 19th and 20th century occult revival. By the 1800s and 1900s, the poison path re-emerged in historic cycles influenced by the Romantics and Gothic revival in the 1800s. So writers much like Mary Shelley, who was the original writer of Frankenstein, and Edgar Allan Poe romanticized poison, necromancy, and dark botanicals. Now, I am a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan, so I have read many of his stories and poems and things like that, and every time I read them, I am just amazed by them. But yes, Edgar Allan Poe was the main one to romanticize poison and necromancy with dark botanicals, but Mary Shelley was actually the first to write about it in the original Frankenstein story. Then you have Victoriana occultism, which was they saw a rise in plant-based poison in literature and folklore. Then you have the occultists of the early 20th century. You have Aleister Crowley, who experimented with psychoactive plants for spiritual enlightenment. You have Gerald Gardner, who was actually, I don't want to get this wrong, but he was one of the very few Wicca practitioners in the 1950s, who revived the herbal magic through the poison not through, though. So he revived herbal magic, though the poison path remained a kind of niche, hush-hush type of practice. Then you have Carlos Castaneda. I hope I said that right. He was around in the 1960s, and he actually introduced Datra as a mystical tool in the teachings of Don Juan. Then you have the modern poison path movement, which kind of brings us into today's world. So today the poison path has experienced a resurgence, a huge resurgence, in occult circles, with practitioners reclaiming the knowledge of baneful plants for personal transformation, shadow work, and even spirit communication. And I can say that wholeheartedly, that it has had a huge comeback, because when I first started practicing and I started getting into poisonous herbs and all that, you didn't really hear about anybody else practicing poison magic, if you will. So it's actually really nice that there are becoming more and more practitioners that practice with baneful herbs. The key figures in the modern poison path are Daniel A. Schulk, which he actually is the author of the Beneficium, Magic, Witchcraft, and the Poison Path book. It's a beautiful red book with a, I can't remember what poison herb it is, but it's a beautiful book. I've been trying to get my hands on one for ages now. Then you have Dale Pendle, which actually wrote the Pharmaco trilogy, and Sarah Ann Lawless, who is a modern poison path herbalist and writer. So the modern uses of the poison path, of course, are baneful herbalism, so working with the poison, or working with toxic plants for magic without ingestion, spirit work and ancestral veneration, using poisonous plants in necromantic rites, flying ointments, or at least the safer versions of them now versus when they had them, which can be crafted with non-toxic herbal substitutes. And you have dream and shadow work, using plants like poppy, mugwort, and henbane for visions. The poison path is more or less no longer about reckless experimentation, but about learning from the plants as sacred teachers, if you will. I hope that makes sense. So, my final thoughts, or to kind of sum it up, on the history of the poison path, for me, it's one of the oldest forms of plant magic. Stretching from ancient shamanism to modern witchcraft, whether you're using it for divination, transformation, or shadow work, baneful plants can still hold their place as gateways between worlds, whether you work with regular herbs or you want to work with the baneful herbs. Does anyone have any questions on the history before I jump into the key philosophies? Oh, I'm glad you love it, Patience. This topic has always been such a spark for for my learning. Alright, so I don't see any questions, but if you have them, please ask, as always. So now I'm going to jump into the key philosophies of the poison path. So the poison path, of course, is not merely about just working with toxic plants. It is a deeply philosophical and spiritual journey that explores the dual nature of life and death, transformation, and self-initiation. The witches and alchemists and mystics who walk this path embrace both the physical and metaphysical aspects of poison, and understanding its role as a gateway to altered states, shadow work, and deep wisdom. So, the main key philosophy, and I know this is going to sound so weird, bear with me. The doctrine of signatures, like the as above, so below. Now, what I mean by that is the doctrine of signatures is an ancient herbal philosophy that suggests plants reveal their purpose through their shape, color, and form. So this belief was actually held by medieval alchemists, healers, and folk witches, and it plays a crucial role in the poison path herbalism. So the application in the poison path, these herbs were mainly for, which are the main three for the doctrine signatures. These were mandrake roots, which looked like a human body and was used for ensoulment, fertility, and protection. You have foxglove, or digitalis, which has a bell-shaped purple flower, and it was linked to the fae, heart magic, and death rites. And then you have hemlock, which has red speckled stems and resembles blood poisoning, and it was used in baneful spells and necromancy as well. This philosophy teaches the plants communicate their magic through their very being, and witches who follow the poison path must learn to kind of open their eyes and see the signs nature provides. I hope that makes sense. Next is the principle of duality, which poison as medicine, death as rebirth. Yes, foxglove is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Christy. So the principle of duality embraces paradox, if you will. So life and death exist within the same plant. Healing and harm can come from the same substance, and transformation and destruction are two sides of the same force. This principle is heavily influenced by alchemy, especially the work of Paracelsus, which was 1943 to 1541, who famously said, "All things are poison, and nothing is without poison. The dose alone makes a thing not poison." That is one of my favorite sayings. So I had to include it, I'm sorry. So what herbs influence the poison path when it came to the key philosophies? Well, there were quite a lot, but these are aconite or wolfsbane, which is deadly, but in homeopathic dosages, it can actually treat anxiety. I want to say this right now. Right now. I am not a medical professional, so please do not self-treat, and always consult with the doctor first. Always, please. I had to get that out of the way. Please. Then you have belladonna or deadly nightshade, which causes delirium, but in small doses, it was actually historically used as a muscle relaxant. Then you have Datra, or Datra, Datura, which can create visionary experiences, but here's the kicker. Too much of it actually led to madness. This philosophy, however, teaches that everything in nature contains both a cure and a curse. The poison path, which, again, must learn how to balance these opposing forces, understanding that poison is not inherently evil, but it is simply powerful if done the correct way. So please, 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 do your research on your own. I'm giving you a bunch, but please do your research, ladies. Please. Then you have the third philosophy, which is the path, the path of initiation and poison as a teacher. So in traditional witchcraft and shamanic practices, poison plants were seen as gatekeepers of hidden wisdom. Initiation into the poison path is not just about studying the herbs, it is about experiencing their power and allowing them to transform you. So there are 3 stages of the poison path initiation. There's the call, which I have. It is a deep fascination with poison plants and feeling drawn to their mysteries. You have the trial, which I practice more with the safer side of the poison plants, much like mugwort and stuff like that. I don't touch the darker stuff anymore. But the second one is the trial, which is confronting fear, darkness, and the shadow self through working with these plants. And then you have the wisdom, which is gaining mastery over the plants and understanding their deeper messages. I'm gonna jump back real quick. Hi, Billy Joe. It is so glad to see you. Yes. I look like a wreck today. I'm sorry, I've been cleaning. But the main ones, when it came to the initiation, the main ones used, that is the mandrake and belladonna, which were considered the ordeal plants. In some witchcraft traditions, meaning that they initiated the practitioner through dream states, spirit visions, or even near-death experiences. Which is why I say you must extremely be careful and always do your research. So, example of this would have been the flying ointment lore, which is applied belladonna-based salves to induce trance states, allowing them to fly to otherworldly realms. This wasn't literal flying, but it was a initiatory experience into the altered consciousness. The philosophy emphasizes that the poison path is, again, not just about working with plants, it is allowing them to change you. But again, as I said in the beginning, you do not have to ingest them. You can work with them, but you do not have to ingest them or burn them or anything of the sort, which I'll get into a bit later. Then you have the fourth key philosophy, which is shadow work and death mysticism. So the poison plants have long been associated with death, the underworld, and the shadow self. And the poison path teaches that confronting fear, darkness, and mortality is an essential step towards personal transformation. The key concepts in the poison path shadow work area, however, are things like necromantic herbalism, using poisonous plants like yew, poppy, and belladonna to communicate with spirits and ancestors. Beneficium, I really hope I'm saying that right, which is poison magic, which is the historical use of poisons in curses, assassinations, and spiritual warfare. Then you have dream work and hallucinogenic rituals, which this is really funny, the song that's playing in the background. It's called Black Hole Sun, and it's really funny because of the actual meaning of the song. I'm not going to get too far into it, but I find it really funny that popped on. Sorry, ladies. So then you have dream work and hallucinogenic rituals, which are using plants to unlock hidden knowledge and face subconscious fears. And you have underworld deities, which I'll go deeper into them a bit later. But the underworld deities like Hecate, Persephone, and the Morrigan are often honored in poison path rites because they rule over death, rebirth, and transformation. An example of this would have been henbane and mandrake were used in necromantic rituals where witches and shamans sought wisdom from the dead. But the lesson of this one, however, is the poison path teaches you that embracing death, we truly understand life. You're good, Ronette. Glad to have you here, love. So, the plant spirit doctrine, the fifth one, is poison as an ally. So, many traditions, including shamanism and animism, believe that the plants are sentient beings with spirits, which is what I believe. At least, I'm going to explain it. So, I believe every rock, every tree, every spirit, every animal, everything has some sort of spirit. And it's also a very big indigenous belief as well. But I'm not going to get too far into it. I just wanted to explain what I meant. But the poison path, which is view toxic plants and guides and allies rather than just tools. So the best thing to do is build a relationship with poison plants. Meditation and dream work, sleeping with dried mandrake under your pillow to receive messages from its spirit, which I don't know if you guys remember, but I did do a plant spirit live. And it was my favorite live, but I went into a bit of this as well. But if you want to work with a poisonous plant, you can do something like this. You can meditate with it. You can, like I said, sleeping with dried mandrake under your pillow to receive messages from its spirits. You don't have to always ingest or burn the herb or plant in order to work with it. And that's the biggest part that I want to really emphasize, if that makes sense. Another good one is offerings and rituals. Pouring wine or milk at the base of a datura plant is a sign of respect. And then, of course, listening to the plant's spirit. So spending time near a poisonous plant and observing how it makes you feel is another great way. So, example, in folk magic roots were treated like living familiars. They were often bathed, fed, and spoken as powerful spirits. The best example in this that I have seen in pop culture is Pan's Labyrinth. It is a movie that is based in Spain, and so it's completely in Spanish. But this is one of my favorite movies. I grew up watching it as a little girl, and it's one of my favorites. It's about the Fae, and it's about a little girl who was a princess of the underworld, and she escaped from the underworld to become a person that walks in the sun. And in doing so, she lost herself, and she was reborn time and time again. And so her father went about and opened portals around the world in hoping that one day she would become herself again and she would come home. But later in the movie, her mother, or the lady that plays her mother, is pregnant. And she is having a very rough and hard pregnancy, and the faun who is helping the little girl go through these trials and everything so she can return back to the underworld as the princess, gave her a mandrake to put underneath her mother's bed. And this mandrake was fed the little girl's blood, but it sat in a bowl of milk. And in doing so, it also blessed the mother and actually helped the mother become better. Sorry. Unfortunately, not yet, patients. I'm still in the process of moving a lot of my Facebook lives into my YouTube, but I promise I will get it done. But again, the movie is called Pan's Labyrinth. If you guys want to go watch it, it's a beautiful movie. It's one of my favorites. So I had to include that in there because I found that really funny. And then this entire time, it was referenced in one of my favorite movies. So, but the lesson in this philosophy, however, is the poison path witches do not use plants. We learn from them. Then we have the alchemy, I'll just say it like that. The alchemy transformation and becoming the poisoner. I don't say that as you're going to poison someone. I say it as alchemy plays a huge role in the poison path philosophy, as it involves both the transmutation and transformation of things. The key alchemy themes in the poison path were the blackening, which is the shadow work phase confronting darkness and death. The whitening phase of purification and understanding the duality of poison, and the reddening, which is the mastery of all plants merging with their power. So many poison practitioners create, I'm going to mess this up and I apologize, spagyric, SPAGYRIC tinctures, and an alchemy way of extracting the soul, if you will, of a plant, making it both magical and medicinal. An example of this would have been a witch who works with belladonna may experience visions of death, overcome fear. So the death being the blackening. I did put the actual words in there, I just don't want to say them, because one, I don't want anyone to get offended, and two, I don't want to have it sound like another word, and it's not. But I will spell it out. So the blackening, the actual original word for it is NIGREDO. The whitening is ALBEDO. And that would be overcoming the fear part of it. And then you have rubedo, which is the reddening, and that is the emergence with a newfound wisdom. The lesson of the alchemy transformation philosophy is the poison path is not just about plants, it is also about self-evolution as well. So, final thoughts on this one for me, which I'm trying to give it like a sums up kind of thing. That way it's a bit easier to understand, because I know sometimes when I explain it, it doesn't make sense all the time. But, so what does this mean for the modern witch? Well, the philosophies of the poison path are not just about working with poisonous plants, and you'll hear me say that throughout this entire live, and I apologize if it gets repetitive, but it's really important. They are about transformation, initiation, and embracing the shadow self. If you wish to walk this path, a few things that you should consider are which philosophy resonates with you the most. How do you approach poison? Do you approach it with fear, respect, or curiosity? And are you prepared to face the darkness within yourself? So applying the poison path philosophies in your daily practice is huge if you are considering to walk this path. So, walking the poison path is a very slow, intentional process. I am so sorry. My nose is like super itchy. We did just get a new puppy. Her name is Sawyer. She's a rescue. My husband surprised me with her today, but she's shedding really bad, so her hair is like making my nose itch. So I apologize. I don't mean to just scratch, but her nose is making her hair is making my nose just itch. It's not like an allergy itch, more like a nose, or oh my gosh, a hair got right there and it just tickled it, and now it's like not stopping. But sorry. Anyway, walking the poison path is a very slow and intentional process. So if you are wanting to do this path, please make sure that you are actually ready to walk this path. Or if you want to incorporate in your magic, please make sure that you are doing so very responsibly. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Which I was really iffy about doing this live, but one of the crones, Angel, she begged me to do this live. She's like, it's such a great thing. You know a lot about it. But please, 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 ladies, again, I know I'm giving you a lot of research, but please do your own, and please make sure you are being very safe with it. But this process involves building relationships with these plants, working with their shadow energy and your shadow energy, and undergoing a personal transformation. So now we are going to look at how to integrate the poison path into your daily witchcraft practice. So studying and understanding these poisonous plants before working with any poison plant. You must deeply understand it, from its history, its folklore, and medicinal and magical properties, the dangers of it, and the spirit of it. So daily or weekly practice ideas. Choose a plant to study each month. This can be belladonna, dawntra, wolfsbane, hensbane, mugwort, if you will, pennyroyal, just really any of them. Read books and historical texts and scientific studies about that plant. Research its correspondences, such as planetary, elemental deities, and even magical uses. Another great thing to keep in mind, is it safe to spend time with this live plant, or is it better to observe its growth, scent, and presence instead? This is one of my personal ones, especially when I first started learning, is keep a poison path journal to record dreams, insights, or even intuitive messages from the plant, even if you are just observing it, observing, such as watching it grow, or just, there's, I don't know if it still does this, but I did hear a kind of rumor, about the garden in London. It has all types of poisonous plants. It's actually really famous. But they used to have cameras in there to where you could like look at all the poison plants and stuff if you could not go in person. I do not know if they still do it. But you could do things like that. An exercise to do with it is you could, and here's another great one, especially if like it's really poisonous to where you're not supposed to touch it or really like breathe in its pollen or anything. You could even meditate with an image or dried piece of this poisonous plant. You can close your eyes and ask, what do you have to teach me? And write down any sensations or messages you might be getting or feeling. Again, building a relationship with the poison plant is very essential. The poison path is not just about using plants, but it's about forming an alliance with them. Just as a witch might bond with a familiar spirit, a poison path practitioner can connect with the spirits of these toxic plants. Ways to honor and work with poisonous plants without ingestion. Make an altar with dried leaves, flowers, or a representation of the plant. You can leave it offerings like wine, honey, or milk at the base of a plant. You can grow a poison plant in a garden or as a potted house plant if safe. You can carry a dried leaf, flower, or root as a charm to invoke its power. And you can create an infused oil or salve for ritual anointing. Please, please, please do not ingest or apply toxic parts directly. Please. An example ritual, which this one is one that I like to do when I'm learning, but I want to give it as an example. So you light a black candle and you place the poison plant on your altar. You whisper its folk names and invite its spirit to guide you. And you sit in meditation and listen for messages. You can record any visions or sensations in your poison path journal, which is why I said this journal is really, really important. Number 3 is shadow work, embracing death and the subconscious. Yes, like I said, it's such a well-known garden, but I do not know if they still do the cameras or not. I don't know if they oh my gosh, it just left me. I don't know if they allow the cameras anymore. Yes, Atina. So for that particular garden, you do have to sign a waiver before you go in, and I believe you cannot take anything out. I could be wrong on the second part, but yes, you do have to sign a waiver before you go in. All right, loves. So jumping back. So shadow work and embracing death and the subconscious. Since poison is linked to death, decay, and the underworld, the poison path naturally overlaps with shadow work, which is facing your fears, hidden emotions, and subconscious patterns. Ways to incorporate shadow work into your poison path practice. You can use the poison plants in dream work. Keep a pouch of mugwort, henbane, or mandrake root under your pillow to enhance dreams and the subconscious messages. You can write in your poison path journal and reflect on what fears or emotions arise when you're working with a particular plant. You can practice necromantic or ancestral work. You can use yew, poppy, or datra to connect with spirits and the dead. You can create a poison plant sigil and design a magical symbol using the energy of that baneful herb and meditate on its meaning. A shadow work ritual that I like to do, that is another example, sit in darkness with a toxic plant or whatever plant you're wanting to work with, safely contained in a jar or satchel. Focus on a fear or trauma you wish to explore And then let the plant's energy guide you into a deep meditative state and record any visions or insights you might get. Example, if you're working with belladonna, you might explore fears of the unknown or illusions you need to shed. The lesson is shadow work is not comfortable. And I'm going to say this again and again. Anytime I mention shadow work, if you need professional medical help while you are doing your shadow work or before you start on shadow work, please get the help you need. Always, 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 please, please, please. I will always say that anytime I jump into shadow work, because I want everyone to be as safe and as comfortable as possible. Even though shadow work is not comfortable because you're unleashing a lot of it, make sure you are with someone you trust or a medical professional when you are uncovering these traumas. Especially if, I don't want to say this, but if you relapse into those old traumatic feelings, if that makes sense. So please, please, please be very careful. But it is necessary for transformation. So the poison path also is for divination and spirit communication, as you've heard me go on and on about. Since the poison path has long been associated with the witchcraft, prophecy, and necromancy, they are also powerful allies in divination and spirit work. So ways to use poison plants in divination: you can do pendulum work, place a dried piece of henbane or mandrake root or whatever near a pendulum board to enhance spirit contact, scrying, burn a mildly psychoactive herb, like mugwort or poppy seeds as an incense while gazing into a black mirror water. Now, I want to be very, very, very strict on this one. Poppy seeds in some states are highly illegal to have, because, well, the bulb of it is highly also illegal to have. And the reason why is because if it's not food grade poppy seeds, you can be in heaps of trouble because they are linked to opium. That is actually where opium derived from, is the bulb of the plant, but also the seeds. So please be very, very careful. I do not want anybody hurt. So I highly suggest you burn mugwort and not poppy seeds. But I put it in there as an example, as a just in case. Because if you know what you're doing, you're going to be okay. But if not, don't do it. Then you have tarot or rune readings. Keep a poisonous plant on your altar while pulling cards for extra insight. That's actually what I do in all of my tarot readings. I will normally have like sage or mugwort or bay leaves, basil. It depends on the type of reading I'm doing for the person, but I love this part. When keeping a plant on your altar when you're doing a reading. Then you have spirit offerings. You can leave poppy seeds, datura flowers, or even dried belladonna berries for ancestors or spirit guides. An example of this would have been a witch working with datura may use it to enhance visions and dream scrying, allowing them to enter a trance state more easily. This lesson is poison plants are doorways to hidden knowledge, and we can use them to strengthen our divination skills as well. Ritual anointing and non-toxic flying ointments. Many medieval witches used flying ointment salves made with belladonna, henbane, and aconite, or I just said it a while ago. Is it wolfsbane? I have horrible memory. I apologize. I want to say it's wolfsbane. But aconite to enter trance states. However, they were, of course, extremely toxic and not safe for modern use. So please don't do it. Not that one, at least. So when you are creating a safe, non-toxic flying ointment for trance work, it's best to have base ingredients. This is the one that Oh, this was one that I was going to do a long time ago, but I had to scrap it because I was pregnant. But the base ingredients, if you would like to make this is a recipe that I had that, I was so in love with, but I scrapped it because I got pregnant with my youngest. But I'm not gonna give out, my spell or anything, but I am gonna give you like the ingredients. So the base ingredients I have are coconut oil. You can use olive oil or you can use beeswax. The herbs you can put in there are mugwort, lavender, and skullcap. They are all safe alternatives to deadly nightshades. Optional, you can add a few drops of blue lotus or clary sage essential oil to enhance it, but you don't have to. But how you use it is to anoint your third eye, temples, and wrists before meditation. So if you are going to use this, it's best to use it before astral projection. Apply the mugwort-based ointment and enter a trance through drumming or even breath work. And the reason why I wanted to include this because it was so important was because not all poison path work has to require toxic plants. There are safe alternatives that exist. You just have to research them and learn them. But I wanted to put that in there. For which one, Christy? Are you talking about aconite? Or oh my gosh, now I'm gonna mess it up. Here, I'll put it in chat and see if that's the one that you're talking about. Okay. This is the one I'm talking about. I call it aconite because I'm really bad with pronunciation, and I know that's a problem for some people, and I highly apologize, but if I see the word, I know exactly what it is. I may not pronounce it right 100% of the time, but I can tell you. Or I'll find somebody who can. So please bear with me. I know I don't pronounce everything correctly most of the time, but please bear with me, ladies. I do try. Oh, okay. The garden. I can't remember what exactly it's called, but I can look it up after the notes and everything, and we can kind of learn together. But moving on, we have crafting and wearing poison path talismans. The poison plants have protective and transformative properties, making them very powerful for amulets and charms as well. Ways to craft a poison path talisman: you can wear a vial of dried belladonna or henbane for protection. You can make a mandrake root poppet for spirit work. You can create an enchanted ink with non-toxic plant for sigil writing. You can etch a poison plant sigil into a candle for ritual work, and it'll work the same way if you do not have that herb. An example would have been, and I know I keep saying an example, but in my notes I have example and I put like little examples. That way when I post these into Google Classroom and you guys have them, you can see what I'm talking about. But a witch may carry a small dried foxglove flower in a charm bag to enhance psychic visions. Poison plants carry protective and baneful energies, but we have to use them wisely and safely. Some final thoughts or words on the poison path as a lifelong journey. The poison path, again, is not just a witchcraft practice. It is a philosophical and spiritual journey that requires patience, study, and a very deep respect. Some daily or weekly practices to stay on the path. You can spend at least just 10 minutes a day researching or even meditating on a poisonous plant. Keep a poison path journal, again, for dreams, plant messages, or even magical insights. You can perform a new moon ritual focused on shadow work, and you can work with some of these baneful herbs. If safe, you can even cultivate a small poison plant garden for observation and energy work, and stuff like that. So what are some sacred plants of the poison path? There's 101, but I did include some. So the poison path, oh my gosh, my nose is just, sorry. So the poison path involves working with very powerful and sacred plants that have long been associated with witchcraft, magic, medicine, and death rites. These plants, often called baneful herbs, contain potent alkaloids, which is what makes them so dangerous. These alkaloids can alter conscissness, induce visions, and even cause death in very high doses. I say below because it's right below, but a look at some of the most significant poison plants and their history and magical associations and safe ways to work with them. So we have the nightshade family, or the Solanaceae. I'm sorry, ladies. I'll go ahead and put it in chat for you guys to see. So that is the actual word for the nightshade family, or the scientific word, I should say. This is the most infamous group of poisonous plants, which are the nightshade families, and these include very deadly and hallucinogenic species that have been used in magic for centuries. You have, of course, belladonna, or Atropa belladonna, which is a scientific name for it, and it is known as the witch's visionary herb. Its names are deadly nightshade, devil's berry, and banewort. Its planet ruling is Saturn. Its main element is water, and the deities associated with this one are Hecate, Circe, and the Morrigan. Some history and folklore on belladonna. It is one of the most infamous witchcraft herbs. In medieval times, it was a key ingredient in flying ointments, as I mentioned earlier, used by witches to enter a trance state and commune with spirits. And the name Atropa comes from Atropos. I hope I'm saying that right. But she was actually one of the fates who cuts the thread of life. Some magical uses are enhancing prophetic visions and dream work, assists in necromantic and underworld rituals, and used for astral projection and altered states of consciousness. Safe ways to work with it. This is one that you never want to ingest, ever. You can meditate with the plant or dried berry in a sealed vial. And the reason why I say that, even though it is dried, the alkaloids are that much more potent, so you want to be that much more careful. So that is why I say it's best to have it in a sealed vial. You can place belladonna on your altar for protection and spirit work, or you can use its sigil or image in spell work. A traditional witchcraft spell for belladonna is you would write a question on paper and place it under a belladonna leaf overnight, and in the morning examine your dreams for answers. Then you have Datra, or Datra stramonium, which is also known as the gatekeeper of the spirit world. Its folk names are Devil's Trumpet, Moonflower, and Thorn Apple. Its ruling planet is Saturn and the Moon. Its element is air, and its deities associated with it are Hecate, Shiva, and Kali. Its history and folklore is Datra has been used for shamanic vision quests in cultures worldwide, from ancient India to Aztec rites, and it is said to open the witch's third eye and allow visions of spirits and gods. Its magical uses, it helps in enhance trance states and dream work. Sorry about that, I got tongue-tied. It acts as a portal to the underworld and even protects against spiritual attacks and curses. Some safe ways to work with it. This is highly, highly toxic, so never ingest or touch its raw sap, ever. Dry a datura flower and keep it under your pillow for dream enhancement. You can burn datura incense only in a very well ventilated area, please, for rituals of spirit communication. Or you could create a datura sigil for protection or astral projection. A dream ritual or a spell for this one. You can write your deepest question on a piece of paper and place it near dried datura flowers, or sleep with the paper under your pillow with the herb. And the plant will actually send answers in dreams. Let me catch up on comments. Wait a minute. Oh, thank you, Patience. I know I apologize a lot, but I promise I am sincere when I do these. So, the next one is mandrake, or mandragora officinarium? Mandrake root. Or also known as the ensouled root. Its folk names are demon root, witch's root, and Circe's plant. Its ruling is Mercury, its element is earth and water, and its deities are Hecate, Circe, and Hermes. And if you remember the Odyssey, it played a very big role when Odysseus was going to battle Circe to get his men back after she had turned them into pigs. Hermes actually gave it to him in a way to help him defeat Circe. I know, I'm a nerd, okay? I let my nerd show. But some history and folklore that is associated with the mandrake root is mandrake is believed to have a human-like spirit and was used in ancient Greece, Rome, and medieval magic. The legend says it screams when uprooted, killing those who hear it. The witches used mandrake roots, again, as familiars or spirit-bound talismans. Some magical uses are you can use it used in witch initiation and spirit work. It enhances psychic abilities and trance magic and can bring protection and magical empowerment. Safe ways to work with it. You can, I want to say this, but I don't want to be wrong. I did not see anything that said you could not eat mandrake root, but again, please do your research. Because I know there is a mandrake root tea, if I'm not mistaken, kind of like a dandelion root tea, or a marshmallow root tea. I believe there's also a mandrake root one, but again, please research. But some safe ways to work with it. You can keep a dried mandrake root on your altar as a spirit ally. You can meditate with a mandrake piece and ask for messages or guidance. You can place mandrake root under your bed for dream protection as well. A mandrake root ritual. You can bury a small piece of mandrake in a black cloth and whisper your name over it. This binds the spirit of the plant to you for protection and magical aid as well. Yeah, she does, Christy. You're gonna hear me say Hecate and Circe a lot, so be prepared. They do kind of make you think of Harry Potter, don't they, Athena? So next is the hemlock family, or the Apiaceae family. I will put that in chat. Again, I am trying my best, guys, when it comes to pronunciation with these. Okay, so the plants in this group are deadly, but have long been used for divination, death rites, and transformation magic. You have hemlock, or Cunium maculatum, or its other name is also known as the poison of oracles. The names for this one is Socrates poison and witch's parsley. The ruling planet is Saturn. The element is water. Its deities are Hecate, Hades, and Persephone. Some history and folklore is hemlock was used in the poison that actually killed Socrates, which gave it the nickname the poison of the oracles. But it was also used by oracles and seers, and in ancient Greeks, believed it could transport the soul to the underworld. Its its magical uses are it aids in spirit communication and necromancy, and enhances divination and trance work, and is used in baneful magic and curses. This is extremely toxic, so please make sure you are not touching it with your bare skin or burn it. Please do not burn it. But some safe ways to work with it is you can keep a dried hemlock branch near your tarot or scrying tools to enhance psychic power. You can meditate on hemlock's energy for ancestral work. You can draw hemlock sigils on a paper and burn it for its protection rituals as well. A hemlock divination spell, you can place a dried hemlock sprig in a bowl of water and let it float overnight under the moon, then gaze into the water at dawn for visions and omens. Then we have the opium family, or the Paparense family. Again, I'm trying my best, guys. Pop that in chat. You're good, Ronette. So this family contain powerful sedatives that are linked to sleep, dreams, and death mysticism. So you have poppy, or Pavier somniferium, or the dream herb. The names are opium poppy and sleep flower. The ruling planet is Moon and Neptune. The element is water. The deities are Hypnos, Morpheus, and Hecate. Some history and folklore associated with the poppy is the poppies have been used since ancient times for dream work, prophecy, and even death rituals. And Greek priests of Morpheus, the god of dreams, or Hypnos, the god of sleep, used poppies for inducing visions. Some magical uses when it comes to poppies, it helps enhance dream work and subconscious work. It can aid in spirit contact and necromancy, and can be used in death and rebirth rituals. Safe ways to work with poppy: you can place poppy seeds under your pillow for prophetic dreams. You can use dried poppy petals in ancestral offerings. Or you can make a poppy seed sachet to carry with you for deep intuition. A dream ritual that you can do with poppies, and I know I'm including a lot of spells, but I wanted to give you guys just a little bit extra on this one, because it holds such a sweet spot in my practice. So I wanted to give you guys just something a little bit extra to learn and do with it too. In safe ways, of course. But a dream ritual for poppy is before bed, hold a poppy flower and whisper your dream intention into it, and place it under your pillow and observe your dreams for when you wake up. My final thoughts on this little part. Walking in the poison path. As we all know, the sacred plants of the poison path hold such deep mysteries, ancient wisdom, and transformative power. But by working with them respectfully and safely, all of us witches can gain visions, protection, and even spiritual evolution. Learning the botanical and medicinal properties for the poison path. I'm going to jump back real quick. I don't see any questions. But studying plant properties is very fundamental, and I know I sound repetitive, but I want you guys to just really be safe. Oh my gosh, I think, yep, that's what it was. Okay, so I figured out why my nose has been itching. Sawyer's hair was at the end of my classes just tickling my nose. Okay, now that I figured out what it was. But before working with highly toxic plants like belladonna or hemlock, it is crucial to develop a solid foundation in botany, herbalism, and plant spirit work. So the best thing that I can, really give you guys is just start with non-toxic plants, or even mildly psychoactive plants. So in this portion of the live, I want to help you safely begin your journey. So this is by learning how to identify plants in nature, understanding basic botany and medicinal properties, and working with safe plants before the toxic ones. And of course, creating your own poison path journal. I'm really gonna hound you guys on the journal, okay? So, step 1 is understanding the basic botany and plant identification. So before working with any plant, you must be able to correctly identify it. And if you've seen any of my other herbal-based lives, I've shown you, like, a lot of them can mimic the others. So you've got to be really careful. Many poisonous plants have very safe lookalikes, and misidentification can be very deadly. So please, please, please be very careful. So key skills to develop if you're foraging, or even just come across it, please study plant taxonomy, which is you learn how plants are classified from their families, genera, and species. Then you can learn botanical terms, understand leaf shapes, stem structures, and even flower types. Use a field guide. That is the most hands down best one. Books like Peterson's Field Guide to Medicinal Plants are extremely invaluable. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, they can literally save your life. So please, use a field guide if you can. You can even take photos and notes. You can record what you see in a journal and compare it to trusted sources. Understand alkaloids and chemical compounds. So you can learn about the plant constituents. For example, atropine and belladonna, and I always mess this one up. Scopolamine in Datra. So tools for identification, you can, for book-wise, you can do Botany in a Day by Thomas J. Eppel. You can use the Herbal Medicine Maker's Handbook by James Green. Or you can use the Poison Path Herbal by Kobe Michael. And I have quite a few that I'm looking at on my desk, or not on my desk, but on my bookshelf. There is the Botanical Curses and Poisons by Fez Inkwright, sorry. Then, where'd it go? There is Rosemary Gallenster's Medicinal Herbs, and that's a great one. I'll post pictures later. I'm trying not to move because my son is asleep behind me. We're in my bedroom. And he's tossing and turning, so if you hear him, he was taking just a slight nap. But those are a lot of great books that I use that I love. Some apps and online resources that I love to use. You can use PlantNet, it's a plant identification app, and the Flora of North America, which is a botanical reference. Those are absolutely hands down my most favorite to use when it comes to apps and online resources that I highly recommend. So a poison path tip is if you find a plant that looks like belladonna or hemlock, please do not touch it. Take a photo and research it first. Because you definitely, some of these herbs, and I don't want to scare anyone, but some of these herbs can burn your hands when it comes in contact with you. So please be careful. Whew! Guys, we have 8 more pages to go. We're on page 20. Next, we have learning medicinal and magical properties of safe plants in the poison path. So before working with baneful herbs, start with safe but magically potent plants that can teach you botanical observation, plant spirit work, and herbalism as well. So beginner poison path allies that are non-toxic but mildly psychoactive plants are mugwort or Artemisia vulgaris. I'm trying. Which are the witch's dream herb. Hi, baby. I told you guys he would wake up. Sorry. The uses are dream magic, astral travel, and divination. It is medicinal and helps with digestion, relaxes muscle, and promotes vivid dreams. And how you can work with it is you can drink it as a tea before bed for lucid dreaming. You can burn it as an incense for scrying rituals. You can even carry dried mugwort for psychic protection. Please be advised if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, it is not best to take any of these herbs, even though they are non-toxic and somewhat safe. Please do not take it, so please be safe about that. Then you have wormwood, which is Artemisia absinthium, which is the spirit gateway. Its uses enhance vision, spirit contact, and protection. Medicinal, it is a bitter tonic, but it stimulates appetite, and it is a mild sedative. How to work with it? Oh, he's gonna go back to sleep, guys. How to work with it is you can add to ritual incense to enhance spirit communication. You can infuse it with oil to anoint your divination tools, or you can even grow it as your in your garden as a protective plant. Then we have blue lotus, or Nymphaea caryella, sorry, which is the ancient visionary. Its uses are enhances intuition, induces euphoria, spiritual awakening. Medicinal wise, it is a mild relaxant, stress relief, and enhances meditation. How to work with it? You can brew it into tea before rituals or meditation. You can even add a few petals to baths or, for dream enhancement. Or you can even smoke it in small amounts for calm, euphoric state. Poppy, again, Pavier soniferium, the dreaming flower. Again, you can use it in sleep magic, dream magic, or even death symbolism. Medicinal wise, it is a mild sedative and pain relief, legal in dried flower form. How you can work with it is you can place dried poppy petals under your pillow for prophetic dreams, use it in ancestral offerings or underworld rites, or you can even wear a poppy amulet for deep subconscious work. Then you have valerian root, which is the lunar sedative, and this one induces deep sleep, protection, and trance work. Medicinal, it is a natural sleep aid and reduces anxiety. How you can work with it is you can brew it into a tea for dream magic and relaxation, use it in protection sachets under your bed, or even burn as incense to calm a ritual space. Step 3 is creating a poison path journal. A dedicated journal will help you document your experiences with plants as you develop your skills. Sections that are best to include are plant profiles, which are the names, appearance, history, folklore, and magical and medicinal properties. Then you can have personal experiences such as meditation, dreams, and intuitive messages. Then you can have botanical notes, like how the plant grows, its environment, and related species. Then you can have ritual spells and results. A neat little exercise that I used to do is I would choose a you just had to move it, didn't you? Look at what you did. You see what you did? Now you have to say sorry to all them, because now I have to scroll. Let me see if I can't find where I was. Here we go. Sorry, ladies. So some magical experiments or ritual spells and results. An exercise is you can choose a non-toxic plant like mugwort and spend 1 month studying it, record its scent, how it makes you feel, or even any dream messages you may receive. Ooh. I love that, Patience. Hi, Mary. How are you, love? So, step 4 is slowly transitioning to the more poisonous plants. So, once you are comfortable identifying these safe herbs, then you can go ahead and start working with, not starting, but if you are comfortable identifying safe herbs and working with their energies, you can start to study the toxic plants without handling them. So how to begin working with baneful plants safely is never consume toxic plants. Ingestion is not required for magic, which is why I went through all the other stuff to try to give you guys an idea that you don't have to ingest them. You can work with their images and folklore first. You can grow them in your garden or keep dried specimen in sealed vials. You can meditate near the plant but avoid touching it directly. You can use dried plant materials in spell work without burning or inhaling toxic fumes. An example tradition is start with mugwort for dream magic. Then you can move to wormwood for spirit work. Then you can study Dantra's history without physical contact. And then finally, kind of like you would work with dried mandrake root sealed in a jar. So, some final thoughts on that one is mastering the poison path requires years of careful study, patience, and respect. The best witches are botanists, healers, and spirit workers who understand the plants are not just ingredients. They are teachers, allies, and living spirits as well. Key takeaways that I wanted you guys to have was to learn safe plants first, such as mugwort, wormwood, or poppy. And then develop a botanical identification skill before handling toxic species. Always keep a poison path journal to track your plant studies. Of course, never ingest, burn, or touch poisonous plants without extensive knowledge. Some deities, spirits, and advanced practices for the poison path. Again, the poison path is deeply rooted in the mysticism of death, transformation, and the liminality between worlds. Many witches on this path work with specific deities, spirits, and underworld guides who embody poison, shadow work, and altered states, and herbal sorcery. So in this section, we'll look into deities of the poison path, gods, goddesses associated with poison, plants, and transformation, spirits and plant familiars, how to connect and honor them, advanced practices, necrobotany, flying ointments, dream poisons, and ritual poisonings as well. So deities of the poison path, there are many deities who rule over the poison threshold, and they are often associated with death, witchcraft, madness, or plant sorcery. These gods and spirits can be invoked for protection, vision work, initiation, and deeper guidance. The first one, of course, is Hecate. She is the queen of witches and poisoned paths. Domains are witchcraft, liminality of the underworld, and plant sorcery. Plants are aconite, belladonna, dontra, and mandrake. Ritual work is poisonous plant offerings, crossroad rituals, and necromancy. How to work with Hecate in a poison path magic. You can offer poppies, garlic, honey, and keys at a crossroad. You can invoke her before working with baneful herbs for protection and guidance. Or you can meditate with a black candle and wormwood incense to receive her messages. Circe, who is the sorceress of poisoned elixirs. Her domains are herbal enchantments, spellcraft, seduction, transformation. Plants are hemlock, datra, or henbane. Some ritual work for her are herbal concoctions, potion crafting, shape-shifting magic. How you can work with Circe is craft a non-toxic spell potion to experience the... What, baby? Oh, you want to go out? Okay. You can go. Sorry, guys. He wanted to go see his daddy. Anyway, how you can work with Circe is craft non-toxic spell potions to experience the alchemy side of poison magic. You can meditate on transformation and self-empowerment through these plant allies. Create a herbal sigil or infusion dedicated to her energy. Then you have the Morrigan, or the Phantom Queen of Deaths and Madness. Her domains are death, war, prophecy, and shadow work. Plants are yew, wolf's bane, and poppy. Ritual work is blood magic, dream sorcery, and spirit evocation. How to work with the Morrigan. You can place a crow feather and poppy flowers on your altar as an offering. You can call upon her for psychic visions and battle magic, especially in shadow work. You can use a black mirror for prophecy rituals under her guidance as well. Next is Persephone, the mistress of the underworld and sacred poppy. Her domains are death, rebirth cycles, poison path initiations, underworld journeys. Plants are poppy, pomegranate, and narcissus. Narcissus. Some ritual work is dream work, soul transformation, and poison initiation. How to work with Persephone. You can perform a dream ritual with a poppy and pomegranate before bed. You can meditate on death and rebirth cycles in nature. You can even offer dark red flowers and wine in honor of her underworld descent. Spirits and plant familiars in poison work. Beyond gods and goddesses, poison plants themselves are spirits, and they can act as familiars, allies, and teachers. Of course, the mandrake spirit, the root witch. Its personality is trickster, old world sorcerer, and dream guide. Other ways that you can work with it is you can place a dried mandrake root on your altar, meditate with it, and leave offerings of milk, honey, or wine. The Datra spirit, or the dreaming gatekeeper, its personality is mysterious, intoxicating, and unpredictable. You can work with it by creating Datra sigils, meditate near a blooming Datra plant at night, and listen to the dreams it gives you. Oh, thank you so much, Patience. I'm so glad you understood what I was trying to say, love. Next is the Belladonna spirit, or the veiled sorceress. The reason I'm giving these to you is because these are my personal experiences, if you will, when it comes to like their personalities and stuff. But its personality is seductive, dangerous, and deeply transformative. Ways that you can work with it is you can keep a Belladonna talisman and honor her as a shadow mentor, or you can use her energy for baneful magic. Advanced poison path practices. There's necrobotany, which is working with plants and death magic. Necrobotany is a study of how plants interact with the dead, perfect for poison path, which is interested in ancestor work, graveyard magic, and herbal necromancy. How to practice necrobotany. You can collect graveyard soil from a place that feels powerful. You can offer poppy flowers or aconite on an ancestor altar, or you can meditate near a yew tree in a cemetery to receive wisdom. Again, flying ointments in altered states. Flying ointments were again used by witches to enter these trance states, often made with Dandra, henbane, and belladonna. Safety warning, again, modern witches should make a non-toxic version using plants like mugwort, blue lotus, and valerian instead. And of course, I gave you guys the recipe for that one. Then you have the ritual poisoning, a symbolic death and rebirth. A ritual poisoning is a controlled practice where a witch symbolically dies and is reborn through trance, meditation, or dream work. How to perform a ritual poisoning without physical toxins. You can sit in complete darkness with only a candle. You can drink a safe herbal infusion, for example, poppy tea or mugwort tea. You can enter deep meditation and envision yourself being poisoned by the plant spirit and let the poison take you to the underworld to see what messages or visions arise. You can reemerge by breathing deeply and grounding with bread or honey. Building an advanced poison path. For those wanting to go deeper into poison magic, I highly suggest this plan. This is the one that I use. But of course, you can do what suits you. Month 1 through 3, I highly suggest the foundation and spirit work. You can work with Hecate or Circe as a guide, or any of the other deities I mentioned. Study plant spirits by meditating with mandrake, belladonna, or dandra without touching it. And keep a poison path journal to record plant encounters and dreams. Month 4 to 6, you can deepen your practice. You can grow one baneful herb in a safe, controlled way. You can start dream work with poppy or wormwood. You can perform rituals with a black mirror or water scrying. Month 7 through 12 is advanced practices. This is when you would want to begin your necrobotany and graveyard plant work. Or even create a safe flying ointment for trance states and perform a ritual poisoning if you so choose to, if that's something that you feel comfortable with doing. My final thoughts for poison as initiation is the poison path is a very lifelong practice that requires respect, patience, and intuition. The plants will call to you when they are ready or when you are ready. But your journey will unfold in its own time, as any other ordinary one does. Well, ladies, that was all the notes I had. I want to thank you guys for bearing with me through 28 pages. I am going to go ahead and hop off because my phone is dying. My phone is dying. It is at 2%, so I'm so very glad that it stayed this long. But again, thank you, ladies. If you found this interesting or very insightful, please let me know. I do try to give you guys as much as I can, because I love giving you guys just everything and anything. But thank you guys. I appreciate you. But again, I'm gonna hop off. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please don't be afraid to drop them in chat or to hit me up directly. Just let me know. I am so happy to help, I promise. But again, thank you, ladies. I hope you have a lovely day and blessed be.